ruled on, and we still have to deal with the motion to vacate his sentence and any other motions that Mr. Shah would like to proceed on. So you may proceed, Mr. Shah.
Cecil Shah, appropriate personas with juris. I appear here by special appearance in regards to the bill of attainder 17 CF 369. All matters have been removed from DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation and the United States District Court into lawful jurisdiction and venue, Article 3 jurisdiction. All rise and stand. This is now a sovereign living Article 3 Morse American Al-Moroccan Consular Court action. I am sovereign living Justice Cecil Shah, capital Dominio Nolo, in red ink, appropriate persona to juris, appropriate solo, appropriate redis. I'm currently being subject to involuntary servitude as prohibited by the 13th Amendment with all 20 sections by way of kidnapping, human trafficking, and a heap of other crimes. And I'm currently being warehoused as a POW in the Illinois Republic Territory, known as Dixon Correctional Center Corporation, of the Illinois Department of Corrections Corporation. My delegation of authority is affirmed for the record, pursuant to the full provisions of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the Constitution for the United States of America, Article 3, Sections 1 and 2 of our National Trust, as supported by Article 4, Section 4. As my own delegation of authority as the lawful beneficiary to the original jurisdiction is presented and affirmed for the record under penalty of perjury, and is uncontested, I am the only authority on this call and for this court of records. As all matters concerning morals are to be addressed in a lawful jurisdiction and venue, as according to the supreme law of the land and common law exclusively. As pursuant to the National Trust, our government, its consuls, its ministers, its visitors, its judges, have authority in all matters of government on the land known as the United States of America Major, are to be recognized, and you are receiving direct orders under my civil authority as Aboriginal Indigenous habitant on American state soil and signatory to the aforementioned contracts as to the lawful beneficiary, and again, it's affirmed and documented for the record. These issues are federal allodial, and the removal's basis is of status, diversity of citizenship, diversity of nationality, conflict of interest, conflict of law, and are all matters of federal question, and international crimes of fraud and treason. Let the record show the man with the blue mask on, wearing a black robe, sitting down, is Philip Montgomery, doing business as the DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation Administrator / debt collector. Philip Montgomery has just stated that Scott Swirly is also present. I also see somebody behind Philip Montgomery. Could we put the camera on Scott Swirly so we can identify him?
Well, the record reflects that Mr. Shortley is appearing via Zoom, and that there are 3 people appearing via Zoom, myself, you, and Mr. Shortley. The record reflects that Mr. Shortley is clearly seeable on the Zoom camera. The TV is split into 3 sections. One section has me, one section has Mr. Shortley, and one section has Mr. Shaw.
So, are there any other DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation officials or United States District Court officials on the call, in the room, that has any way touched this matter? Is anybody else present?
There are other people in the room, but they've not had anything to do with your case. There's a court reporter here. She's taking down everything you say.
Okay, is there a bailiff in the room?
No.
Okay, is there anybody else in the Zoom room
There's no one else in the Zoom room.
present for hearing?
There's no one in the Zoom waiting room, there's no one else in the Zoom room. There are other people in the courtroom though.
Okay, do you understand that no United States corporate citizen has personal, territorial, political, or subject matter jurisdiction or in these matters? As I am the law and the government, my body and all land and property are in the jurisdiction of my ancestral estate at this time and all points in time.
Mr. Shah, we're here on your motion to vacate as well as whatever other motions that you might feel are pertinent for the court to take up, so you may proceed.
Again, do you understand that no United States corporate citizen has personal, territorial, political, or subject matter jurisdiction in these matters? As I am the law, I am the government, my body and all land and property are in the jurisdiction of my ancestral inherited estate at this time and all points in time.
I'll be quite honest, I don't know what that means.
Okay, well, let the record reflect that Philip Montgomery doing business as DeKalb County of Illinois administrator / debt collector is a fiduciary and failing to perform under the national trust and is incompetent, sir, you're disqualified. I'm gonna take your silence to equate an agreement. As the bill of attaining to 17 CF 369, the true nature has not been described. It's not been disclosed by DeKalb County, Illinois Corporation, nor any of its agents, including all of its agents who has in any way touched this matter. Delegation of authority, pursuant to Article 3, Sections 1 and 2, as this matter pertains to a more has been demanded. Oath of office, oath of ethics, public hazard bond and information has also been commanded to be produced from all agents who have anyway touched this matter as a matter of discovery and due process of law pursuant to the Fifth Amendment. All officials, including Robin Stuckert, Philip Montgomery, Ronald Metakitis, Tom Doherty, Brady, Frederick J. Capella, Robert Blakely, doing business as the DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation and the United States District Court judges have failed to produce, to provide this information to perfect the title of office, and has failed to provide validity of the exercise of plenary powers. And in absence of such acts to perfect the title of the office has been provided, if not being provided, for the record, makes your office disabled and is vacant, and all orders, decisions, and judgments rendered are void, as you are without right to exercise and use plenary powers, and is acting under the color of law and color of authority. Trespass of title and usurpation of power. Usurpation of powers in violation of due process of law, and you are disqualified and rejected for fraud and treason. As this information has not been provided, I've imposed a commercial lien on DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation as agents involved with this matter, heirs and assigns for violation of injuries incurred. Marine Josh, Lori Grubbs, and Douglas J. Capella in their private and public capacity, doing business as circuit court clerks and the clerk of the county. Their oaths of office is on file and accepted if they bear an office of performance under that commercial oath of office. And are notified that I command their honorable action as to the National Trust. Rick Amato, Scott Swarton, Alicia Kaplan doing business, DeKalb County of Illinois. State's attorney and assistant state's attorneys have also failed to protect their title of office as well, and has not bonded their claim. Has failed to present with a system of laws that operate under in order to for me to prepare a defense. No lawful jurisdiction has been presented in evidence, and the nature and the cause of the accusations have not been provided regardless to my lawful demand pursuant to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. The DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation is operating outside the 10-mile radius of Washington, D.C., and they have also failed to rebut and contest all affidavits of fact expressly denying jurisdiction exists, has failed to come forth with a constable contract, has failed to come forth with an injured party or an accuser, and has failed to satisfy the elements of the crime, and is non-prosecutor, and has no representational capacity whatsoever. The acts constitute false personation, usurpation, fraud, false pretense, deceptive and fraudulent business practices, operating in concert, confidence game with the aforementioned persons, conspiring to deprive me of rights under the color of authority and under the color of law, and it's prosecutorial misconduct. Judicial notice, international notice of public records correction, Morris deed of conveyance, public notice of declaration of lawful protest, all in the seal, plus declarations in the nature of affidavit of fact and notary presentments on file, all expressly deny jurisdiction exists, and are unrebutted point for point. All respondents, including Robin Stuckert, Philip Montgomery, Rick Amato, Scott Swartley, have a legal and a moral, also fiduciary duty to respond under the good faith and clean hands doctrine, and the failure to do so amounts to bad faith. In regards to these documents, defaults were entered for your failure to respond. The defaults equate an agreement and acquiescence to all stated therein by remaining silent, including a waiver of rights and agreements to be named in further judicial and administrative actions and fines and fees. You are hereby foreclosed by latches and stopping and exercising my administrative and judicial authority and inherent rights to self-determination. I've determined that the DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation lacks all jurisdiction, personal, territorial, political, and subject matter as to all matters pertaining to morals of federal or local, and on matters of federal question. The DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation is not an Article 3 court, and has no delegation of authority under the supreme law of the land. I hold 11th Amendment immunity against your foreign state. All governments and private corporations must be a creature of the American Constitution, and you are being called to task for your lack of performance. The Bar Association has failed to perform due process under law, under the supreme law of the land, and notwithstanding, DeKalb County of Illinois corporations in the United States District Court are debtors in commercial and administrative default to the Constitution for the United States and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. States and corporations cannot make treaties, therefore have no jurisdiction over treaty nature. The bond holding my body has not been presented to be satisfied. All presumed contracts were terminated for all Moorish American nationals effective immediately September 11th, 2018. I am a secured party creditor and holder of the property as to the account and bond of Cecil Shah, and no one has more superior claim than I. I'm the executive declarant, the beneficiary of my own estate. The DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation is not authorized to subrogate my identity to fraudulent capitalized letters of deep fiction, ex-relation names of Cecil Shah, or any derivatives off that owned by the United States or the Federal Reserve or any franchise of agency thereafter the bankrupt debtors and commercial and administrative default. You're rendered null and void. This complex regulatory scheme that DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation and its agents, including Robin Stuckert, Philip Montgomery, Rick Amato, and Scott Swartley, and all other agents and principals in their private and official capacities attempting to constructively convert my natural person to that of a legal fiction through fraud and semantic deceit, artifice, threats, duress, coercion, and the like constitute involuntary slavery. Servitude is prohibited by your parent corporate judicial government construct charter and does constitute ultra-virus acts that are beyond the scope and powers of a corporation as defined by its charter and acts of incorporation. Under this Morris American Al-Moroccan Council of Court action of Article 3 jurisdiction, these acts are fraudulent, treasonous, jurisdiction prohibited by the supreme law of the land and crimes against humanity. The United States Supreme Court has stated that treaty is the law of the land, as acts of Congress is whenever its provisions prescribe rule by which rights of private citizens or subjects may be determined. That state statutory provisions must yield to any applicable provision of a treaty of the United States with a foreign country constituting a part of the supreme law of the land. Treaty lawfully entered into stands on the same footing of supremacy as do the Constitution and the laws of the United States, and is generally self-operating in that it requires no legislation by either Congress or state. Treaty must be regarded as part of the law of state as much as state's own statutes, and it may override power of state, even in respect of great body of private relations. Courts cannot go behind treaty for purposes of annulling its operation. Corporations in the Clearfield Doctrine indicates that governments descend to the level of mere private corporations and take on characteristics of a mere private citizen, where private corporate commercial paper, Federal Reserve notes, and securities checks is concerned for purposes of suit. Such corporations and individuals are regarded as entities entirely separate from government. When private commercial paper is used by corporate government, then the government loses its sovereignty status and becomes no different than a mere private corporation. Dekalb County of Illinois Corporation and its agents become bound by the rules that govern private corporations. Of course, all contracts have been terminated effective September 18, 2018. Since the Dekalb County of Illinois Corporation is not sovereign, they cannot promulgate or enforce criminal laws. They can only enforce civil laws, which are duty-bound to comply with the law of contracts. The law of contracts requires signed and written agreements and complete transparency. All agents and officials in their private and public capacity can and will be held accountable for their liable actions. It's a maxim of law that peonage and involuntary servitude are forbidden, and immunity is denied to any party, real or imagined person, or public official who would or conspire to traffic slaves or participate in its aiding or abetting.
Okay, Mr. Shah, you've been going now for about 20 minutes uninterrupted. In regards to your motion to vacate.
Excuse me. You let the record show that Philip Montgomery is being interruptive. Anything you want to say, you can swear in under the penalty of perjury, or you can submit a lawful protest. The judgment is the Constitution for the United States of America and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, res judicata. I find that the Dekalb County of Illinois Corporation's agents, including Robin Stucker, Philip Montgomery, Tom Doherty, Ronald Metacartis, Brady, Rick Amato, Scott Swirly, Alicia Kaplan, Roger Scott, and Federal J. Capella, and Robert Blakely of the U.S. District Court, and all other foreign agents and officials who has anyway touched this case, who willingly and openly war against the supreme law of the land, failing to honor the national trust, is notwithstanding, and is guilty of the following charges in violation of the supreme law of the land. the 13th Amendment with all 20 sections. Section 12, where it states the traffic in slaves with Africa is hereby forever prohibited on pain of death and the forfeiture of all rights and property, and persons engaged therein, and descendants of Africans shall not be citizens. Title 18, United States Code 1581, whoever holds or returns a person to the condition of peonage or arrests any person with the intent of placing him in or returning him to a condition of peonage shall be fined no more than $5,000 or imprisoned no more than 5 years. Title 18, Chapter 13, 241 and 242, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under the color of law. Title 18, 1957, engaging in monetary transactions and property derived from an unlawful security. Additional charges are high treason, acts of war, fraud, denationalization, identity theft, human trafficking, malfeasance of office, misprision, grand larceny, misappropriation of funds, deprivation of rights, deliberate towards threat, coercion, kidnapping, unlawful search and seizures, denial of due process of law, denial of a fair and speedy public trial and a lawful jurisdiction and venue, denial of life, liberty, and property, denial of jury of my own national peers, denial of post bail, cruel and unusual punishment, libel on your case searches, slander on your news media and press, crimes against laws and nations, and genocide, as stated on the Convention of Prevention of Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, Articles 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, Article 6, also as prohibited by the Constitution Bill of Attainder, as stated in Article 1, Section 9, also include tampering with evidence or attempting to construct or convert my affidavit of facts into a motion. As to all matters of Bill of Attainder 17 CF 369, I order Douglas J. Johnson to enter this judgment into the public record and all listed default judgments. I order Lord Grubbs to enter default judgments filed October 3rd, 2019, April 19, 2019, May 14, 2020, October 10th, 2019. I order Lord Grubbs to discharge unlawful indictment / Bill of Attainder 17 CF 369 and all other Bill of Attainders in DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation. I order immediate release of myself from the colorable custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections. I order damages be paid in the amount of $5,000 per hour for unlawful detainment in your colorable custody, lawful special gold and silver coin. Additional orders will be placed in the mail tonight for the record. As follows: I hereby issue an arrest warrant and order of arrest command to the sheriff and his deputies, to the bailiff, the Grand Army of the Republic, formerly known as the United States Military, to be executed pursuant to statutes of law 17, statute 16, without necessary delay for the DeKalb County of Illinois, including Robin Stuckert, Philip Montgomery, Thomas Doherty, Ronald Metakitis, Brady, Rick Amato, Scott Swarley, Alicia Kaplan, and United States District Court officials doing business as Judge Frederick J. Capella and Robert Blakey, and also all other agents of DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation and its agents who have in any way touched this matter ought to be detained and tried by the military tribunal. I order all liens on DeKalb County of Illinois Corporation and its agents to be satisfied. I order the forfeiture of all rights and property of all who have in any way touched this matter. I order fines $10,000 per violation for trademark infringement fee at common law for each violation of attempting to construct my name, Cecil Shah, to that of a fiction, lawful gold and special silver coin tender, that's consistent with Article 1, Section 10. I order the seizure of all real and personal property and assets and account holdings of all named therein. I order the U.S. Treasury to discontinue funding to the ends of the United States Treasury, State of Illinois Corporation, Illinois Department of Corrections, and Dekalb County of Illinois Corporation. Again, if anybody want to contest, deny, refute, rebut anything being stated, which is all affirmed for the record, you can do so by swearing in under penalty of perjury or producing a wet signature with anything you have to say.
Are you done? Okay, Mr. Schwertley, at this time I haven't heard much in the way of argument in regards to the motion to vacate the sentence. I recall the trial in this matter. I recall the facts and circumstances that gave rise to the sentence that he received.
Let the record show,
as well as the criminal history that the defendant had. I think that the sentence is appropriate and the motion to vacate the sentence is denied. Mr. Schwertley, is there anything else that you think we need to address at this time? Mr. Schwertley?
Sorry, Judge. The only thing that I would point out for the record is that on February 14th, 2018, in the court record, the defendant had previously, and he continuously talks about having this case removed. He attempted to have this case removed. There is an order in the file on that date, filed by a federal judge, which denied his motion to remove. So I would just point that out for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Schwertley. I'm gonna let him in. I'm gonna tell him thank you. You're not ready to start. No. I'm gonna let him in. I'm gonna tell him thank you. Just respect.
let the record show Philip Montgomery and Scott Schwertley are whispering,
Cecil Shah,
being disruptive in this Article 3 proceeding.
Visible as